In one of the most horrifying and senseless ambushes in recent U.S. history, a 20-year-old man named Wess Roley, who once dreamed of becoming a firefighter himself, orchestrated a deadly trap that shocked an entire nation and devastated a tight-knit Idaho community, as authorities confirmed that Roley, who had reportedly moved to Idaho from Arizona in 2023 to work for his father's tree trimming company and was living out of his vehicle in a wooded area of Canfield Mountain just north of Coeur d'Alene, deliberately set a fire to lure emergency responders to the location, where he then opened fire with a high-powered rifle, killing 2 firefighters, Frank Harwood and John Morrison, and severely injuring a third, Dave Tisdall, in what Kootenai County Sheriff Barb Norris described as a total ambush, where the victims did not have a chance, stating in a chilling press briefing that Roley, who had allegedly had a confrontation with fire personnel over his vehicle being in a restricted area, may have snapped under pressure or resentment, despite his history of admiring the fire service and reportedly trying to join a fire department himself, with his grandfather telling NBC News that Wess respected law enforcement and idolized firefighters, but perhaps suffered some psychological unraveling after rejection or personal disappointment, leading to this unspeakable act of violence that has not only shattered families and left the community in mourning, but also raised urgent questions about mental health, public safety, and the potential warning signs that may have gone unnoticed. As Sheriff Norris revealed that Roley had only 5 minor law enforcement encounters since arriving in Idaho, including one for trespassing, and emphasized that the shooter was homeless, frustrated, and had been living out of a vehicle that officials eventually had to disable and push off the mountain during the tactical response to prevent his escape. With law enforcement deploying more than 300 personnel from city, county, state, and federal agencies, including helicopters with snipers, during the hours-long manhunt that terrorized the region and left many residents trapped or sheltering in place as bullets rained down in the popular hiking area. And while the motive remains murky, investigators discovered a flint near Roley's body, which they believe he used to start the so-called Nettleton Gulch fire that grew to 26 acres, though thankfully it did not threaten any structures. And after hours of gunfire echoing through the mountainside, authorities finally located Roley's body by tracing his phone, determining he had likely taken his own life with a self-inflicted gunshot wound, as a shotgun and what are believed to be fragments of rifle bullets were found at the scene, and Sheriff Norris stated that officials are still searching the area for additional firearms that may have been hidden, clarifying during the briefing that there is no evidence whatsoever linking Roley to extremist ideologies, despite social media speculation, with Idaho's governor ordering flags flown at half-staff to honor the fallen heroes, 2 men who dedicated their lives to saving others, only to be brutally executed in an ambush they couldn't have foreseen. As the community now grapples with the trauma of this loss and the haunting reality that the person behind this atrocity was someone who once admired the very people he targeted, raising harrowing concerns about how dreams can devolve into delusion, how rejection and instability can spiral into deadly outcomes, and how critical it is that we re-examine not only how we address mental health in young men facing homelessness and isolation, but also how we safeguard our first responders, who risk their lives selflessly and should never have to worry about being hunted while answering the call of duty. And as details continue to emerge, from the rapid escalation of the fire response to the calculated nature of the ambush to the disturbing contradictions in Roley's background, respectful grandson, fire service hopeful, and ultimately a domestic assailant, the entire nation must pause and reflect on what failed here. Was it the system? Was it the support structure? Was it unrecognized mental illness, unresolved trauma, or something darker? And how do we now honor the victims, not only by mourning, but by acting to prevent such targeted acts of terror from happening again, whether through better mental health outreach, tighter coordination between social services and emergency departments, or heightened situational training for firefighters who increasingly face risks well beyond the flames? Because what happened on that mountain wasn't just another tragic shooting, it was a betrayal of trust, a violation of humanity, and a brutal reminder that even those who once idolized heroes can, under darkness and despair, become the very threat those heroes must face.